Okay, here we go. Hank wants to join the video. Very good. There we go. Thank you for y'all's patience. All right, so now let me get into the video.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
Fine.
Yes.
Good.
Sorry for the confusion. You got like 3 pages. You popping all over Facebook. I gotta
Trying. All
make
right.
sure on that. But
All right.
good to be here.
All right. So we're going to get started. We have Pain Peace with us today, and we will be talking about reentry. And normally I do this in my in my For the Lives of Prison Wives group, which is a support group for wives, fiancés, girlfriends of those who have incarcerated loved ones. But I decided to do it live on a public page because we're talking about reentry. And when former inmates are released from prison, they come back to society. Society also needs to be aware of the obstacles and things that they face. So first, I just wanted to start off by telling you how I met Pain, and that was at a rally in D.C., and the name of that rally, because I always mess it up, was Families for Justice Reform Now Rally. So my kids were there advocating because my husband has been in prison now for 13 years and 8 months. So they were speaking in support of the First Step Act. And the First Step Act is actually, well, we're hoping that Senator Mitch McConnell will bring it forth on the Senate floor. That's what we're waiting for now. So it's important that those phone calls and people are active to make that happen, because this is the biggest bipartisan reform that can take place if this act passes. And with that said, if anybody else has any questions that you are not comfortable asking, you can inbox. I have my computer up. I'll take those questions and I'll ask for Pain. Again, Pain was the speaker at Spoken Word, shall I say, entertainment at the rally. And so me being in this situation, I know the outside of it. I know what my husband tells me, but we have no way of actually knowing what it's like in there unless we're in there. So the way that he put his words together, I felt his pain. I literally felt it. And he said things that I just hadn't ever thought of, even though I hear it from my husband. It's just the way he put his words that had me thinking, differently. Yeah. So with that said, I'm going to stop talking, and I'll let Pain give a little background. And I do want to just start off with the first question, and we'll just kind of roll from there. But go ahead. Let me switch the camera. Hold on.
To give a little brief background on myself, I go by Pain the Poet. Served 8 years in Virginia State Penitentiary, multiple compounds, multiple spreads. My charges were firearms charges, use of a firearm, the commission of a felony. I had 2 of those at around the age 19. I was sentenced to 18 years with 8 active years to serve. If you're not familiar with that means is they sentence you to 8 years in prison. The remaining 10 are floating above you at all times to the point where if you are charged or convicted of any other crime, they can give you any portion of that remaining 10 years at any given time that they want to. Granted, you're convicted of another crime. Even if the crime isn't as serious as the time they warrant, it's still a possibility that you can get all that time back at one time. So, having said that, I did 8 years. I got out at the end of 2015 after serving a little bit over 7 years, 7 years and some months. You don't serve the whole 100% of the sentence. But in returning home, with the talent that I possessed and the people that I've met over the span of years, I paid close detail to the things that I wish I could have had access to, the things that I did actually have access to, and some of the things that weren't beneficial to me at all. So for those of you who have loved ones currently in an institution, I'm going to give you a couple things to look for, a couple things to know ahead of time before you have to worry about scrambling at the time of release. Some states now, I know the state of Virginia does this. If anybody dealing with another state can chime in, and that would be great. But they allow you to get your state ID before you actually are released. So what that gives you ability to do is come home with your property. In your property, a state ID already exists for you, so you don't have to go to the DMV just to have a state ID. Another thing that you can do is is involving the DMV, or involve getting your license back. It's what's called a compliance summary. What the DMV does is if you send in a request for a compliance summary is a list of all the things that you as an individual must do to obtain a license. Everybody's situation is different with court costs and restitution that you may have to pay and things like that, or maybe holds on your license regarding your case or whatever. And this is years later, so returning home, a good thing to do is to fill out a compliance summary prior to you being released, and that would help you further know what you need to do in order to retain a driver's license. Another thing is we were given the chance to sign up for a bank with Wells Fargo, and there's other institutions that do what I'm going to explain, but be careful of your loved ones signing up for financial institutions that arrive at the prison to advertise. These are predatory financial situations. And what ends up happening is they'll have a type of account. They'll have an account that isn't beneficial to anybody. But because these were inmates at the time that they were presented with this, it was more likely that they would sign on to have a bank account, because you would think, hey, I do need a bank account. That's something I might want, but if you want to set up your loved one and have a bank account, I suggest that you guys do that as a family. That it has nothing to do with the institution or anybody that comes to the institution, because these are predatory financial institutions that would like to have people in needy situations, sign on to their bank. Like Wells Fargo. What Wells Fargo would do is once you arrived home, you find out you had a bank account with a $300 spending limit. So if you get paid and you have to pay a bill, it's a lot of bills that can be over $300. Rent. There's nobody that pays under $300 and, pays full rent, So you can't even move out of your account. Can't even move money out of your account as you see fit, because these institutions put so many holds and monitors upon your money that it makes you wish that you never even signed up for the institution itself. So be careful of that. Another thing is it differs per state, but there are food benefits. There are benefits that people returning home to society can benefit from, things like food stamps, certain types of medical insurance that's like temporary. But these are things that you really need to look into, because you really need to take these people to the doctor, because the diet is bad. The attention to certain medical details is very bad. So you just want to make sure your loved one is okay. Just, blood pressure wise, cholesterol wise. These are things that often go overlooked, but the years of a certain diet, years of not having access to certain type of foods can be detrimental over a span of time. So, for your loved ones, the best thing that I recommend is maybe finding your own doctor, your own medical institute. Just check out things like blood pressure, your cholesterol, because a lot of times we go in one condition and come out in a far worse, and it's just due to a harsh environment. And in my experiences, I've seen guys young with high blood pressure, 25, super high blood pressure. He's taking blood pressure pills that he wasn't taking prior to being in the institution. We have a high sodium diet. Sodium is not good for you in mass quantities, but that's what we have access to.
So would you say, along with high sodium, stress also triggers?
Yes. And a lot of the stresses that we deal with don't get immediately addressed. Sometimes they never get addressed. There's not one of the things that you're going to find. We're trying to change in this organization I work with is access to mental health. There are some of us who experienced trauma entering the institution. Maybe they were involved in a shootout or a shooting. These people suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and has never been checked or has been attended to. So with these type of situations, if you know an organization that does counseling, if you know a peer group, if you know something like that, it's good to have people around that. Now, I'm going to tell you now, it's not easy to approach someone that's just trying to be independent, trying to reestablish their humanity and tell them the first thing they need to do is seek mental help because they're messed up, because that's not going to go over well. But if you can find a more diplomatic and political way to approach the situation, beneficial to anybody. It's family counseling.
Say something right there. I noticed she said something about post-traumatic stress, and I think that also attributes to the recidivism rate. Mm-hmm. So if it's not dealt with the right way, if people don't seek mental health, and people often wonder why, well, how is this person ending up back incarcerated? What, they keep going in and out of jail, in and out of prison. Well, if the mental health issues aren't dealt with and they're not dealing with that trauma, then those chances are, of course, going to increase.
Every time, yes. And there's factors that play into this, such as this, when your significant other comes home, your family member comes home, your brother, your father, whatever situation you may have. As men, we had to switch. And then when the first thing we see when we come home is, the brakes on your car aren't working right, the air conditioner is broke. And we're seeing these things that we have to find a way to fix. We have to find a way to afford. And we just got out there. So it's kind of like a situation to where, you have a loved one coming home to you. The only thing that he instantly feels this feeling of burden. Like, I gotta be able to help. I have to be able to do everything I can to, help keep the lights on. When the lights were on when he got there, like they were on while he wasn't there. It's innate. It's innate. And one of the things that I benefited from was I came home to a situation to where I had freedom to try things out. Like I wanted to, I instantly had like, hey, let me get this job, let me get this car. Now it was advised that at the time that I got my car that I shouldn't, because it was all I could afford at the time. So I was spending a lot of my money just maintaining having the car, and it was so early. It was about 2 months after I came home. I was already working, 50 hours a week and had a car and, was, place shopping and things like that. And you don't want to overexert yourself too fast, because then you'll feel like after the first year of being home, you feel like you've been home 15 years. You just wore yourself down. And now things that are normal, the normal hustle and bustle is seeming like stressful and tedious to you. Like you're looking for a quick way out because you feel like you're on a gerbil wheel and things like that. You don't want to feel the walls closing in, and if as a loved one, on the outside looking in, it's hard to pinpoint where someone else's mind is. It's hard to pin, and sometimes somebody going through it's hard to explain what exactly you're going through. So this situation affects families in more ways than can just be wrote down in black and white. And the thing that the most important thing is there is the understanding that something happened and in some way that you're changed. If you can convince, like, that was the hardest thing. Like, I came home feeling like I was just still me, and I was just still gonna, of course I was a lot smarter. I wasn't gonna make the same mistakes that I made to land my, but I felt like, I'm just going to get right back with it. I'm not nervous. I'm pretty intelligent. I'm just going to jump back and be right, and when that doesn't happen, as you may think that it should have happened for you, when those things don't happen, that's when the negative arises. That's when a voice in your head tells you, hey man, you need to just, or that's when you feel like breaking down. That's when there's an argument in the household for no reason. As when people deal with frustration, sometimes we take it out in the wrong way just because we can't pinpoint what's wrong with us. We can't figure it out. But with that feeling of, imagine you coming home and you're in your early 40s, late 30s, and then you're working an entry level job and your manager's like 18. And you're a grown man. Like, it's like, wait a minute, man, this kid is telling me when I can go to lunch, stuff like that. That'll wear down on a man. But there's a question.
Okay.
Was there a period I felt depressed after getting out, and what were my coping mechanisms? Well, okay, this is what ends up happening. When you're locked up with someone, like, we built friendships. We bonded with people that you spend time with for years. It's deeper than just being like somebody's roommate. Imagine a person you spend every minute of every day with, like every waking moment, like, everything about this person. This is just, so when you got a friend that still has 5 or 10 years left, and then you come home and you just see all these people, and there's nobody that really understands what you're really thinking right now, or nobody understands why you move the way you do, or why you got that look in your eyes. The people that did understand you had to leave, but you had to leave for a good reason. So just the thought, knowing that you wish you could have took people with you, that can get to you. And then you deal with the anxiety, you deal with the anxiousness of just wanting to be, you want to be solidified. You want to have a foundation. You want to be able to contribute. That's the biggest thing. When you come to it, when you see that everybody's around you is taking care of you, and everybody, you see that you see that people need money around you. We see their circumstances in the household, and you at the current moment can't fix it. You can't put a Band-Aid on it. That can bother you too. That definitely can bother you. I would say those are the main things, and how to cope with those. And it's tough because it really depends on the people that are around you. It really depends on your support system. It depends heavily on that person, and it depends on the people on the outside. Your loved ones know you. You know this person. You know what they. You know what I'm saying. You know what they want. You know how they go about things. You know this about this person. Like, so try to look at them completely different, because this is the same person that you knew. They just went through a traumatic experience, and they're doing their best to try to be, somebody respectable. Like, if we could come home and pay all the bills and have that like that, to do that, that's what 90% of us would instantly want to do that. But it's hard because, when you feel like your hands are tied, and you feel like opportunities aren't around, or you feel like, hey man, I'm out here shoveling the sidewalk, man, like, I feel ridiculous. I know I'm more than this, but this is just what you have to do at the moment. You're outside twirling a sign. These things can feel degraded, and if you feel,
let me interrupt. I know you said you feel degraded, and I also kind of just want to touch on some of the degrading experiences on the inside. I mean, just from visit, and the most degrading part of visit to me, and I understand they have to do count, but for us in the federal, I don't know how it's done in the state. They have all the guys or ladies that are incarcerated line up, and just to see that line of grown people just in line being counted, that's degrading to me. I know it's also things that take place in there that are degrading. I've had situations, I can really specifically remember a time we had a degrading situation at Visit just with our family. So where they made family members, because a lot of time family is treated as though we did something wrong when we come to see. So we're getting, we get a taste of what it's like. So we can only imagine what you know, they get in there.
Yeah, and
But
when you put people in power over other people, they do things to show that they have power. They do stuff to realize their own power. Like we have this thing called shakedowns, where basically it's a dramatic search. It's a dramatic search of all your property, all your belongings, your mail, and they do things like that. Take your letters and they just throw them up in the air. They have your picture, just throw them up in the air. And pictures and your letters are your most prized possessions while you're in there. These are the things that connect you to your family. These are your memories. These are, this is the only thing that connects you to you from in there, So they like to play with that, the like when you're in the visitation room with a family member, you see like the CO tell your family member, hey, don't do that, or this is like, hey, you wish that you could just separate, your family from that. Like, when you see them tell you, hey, don't go across the line, and don't hug her like this, or don't hold hands. I don't know how to contact. Let me see. If families get profiled and harassed by COs, yes, I think there's an excessive. Well, I didn't catch the whole question, but definitely, it's definitely places where advantage is taken over people that don't deserve that, and I just believe it takes a level of patience, it takes a level of strength to be able to understand that it's temporary. We're going to get through this, and those people signing up those applications, putting on that uniform, don't see the pain that they contribute to the situation. They have
right.
one vision of us, and they're taught in their training that we're always trying to manipulate them. We're always trying to potentially hurt them and harm them. I've spoken to CEOs since I've been home, and we come to find out it's like that, and they lose sight of the fact that they're dealing with human beings. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. I think it's more of and I'm not saying in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I understand it's prison. So I'm not saying that they don't have to do their jobs. I understand that they have to do shakedowns. I understand they have to do all that. But I still think it's a more civilized way that they can handle these situations and not break people down, not dehumanize people. But let me ask you this too. Give me just and I asked you this last time we did a live in the group, but just give us a rundown of when you first hear you're going to be released. I know you, of course, there's excitement. Is there fear, anxiety? What are those emotions?
Okay, so getting released, you have a date. Okay, when the day comes, but it's not like you wake up and you automatically like, hey, you just walk out. No, it doesn't go like that at all. You have to be called to go to property. And when you go to property, you have to bring all the things that you own accumulated while you're in prison. And most of the times you can't make it out of your housing unit without, the people asking you for your shoes and the sweatsuits and stuff that you're not gonna need. You turn your property in. What they do is they go over little basic paperwork. They give you your family. I don't know how I don't know, the institution of Virginia, they allow the family to bring an outfit for you to wear. Like, they allow your family to bring some clothes up there. You have to do it within a certain amount of days so they can check through it, and then they can just have it over there. Then you're given those clothes, and you're given the opportunity to put them on. This will be the first time you're wearing street clothes in however many years you've been gone. And then you're sitting there waiting for your family to come, and they let you out the gate, and it's your family right out there, and it's that feeling that you can finally go with them. It's just like you finally can. The first thing that I did, they took me to Sonic, the fast food restaurant. They took me to Sonic, and it was really just because I pointed out, like, I want to go there, like, because I had been in there and seen Sonic commercials, and I was like, yeah, I got to go there.
Oh.
So, in the car, I got on an iPad. I never held an iPad at the time, so I got on there and immediately went to YouTube and started watching stuff, like, just to see what was going on. And a lot of it's a shock, and it depends on how long your loved one has been gone. But it's a big shock. It's a big shock. It's a lot of it is just trying to know what's going on. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what happened in the news. Let me know what overall the people feel about what are people saying about this. It's just a lot of trying to catch up. It's really trying to catch up mentally. I would say this, me personally, I didn't want to be in a big crowded setting at first. Like, I wanted to ease in. I didn't even want to see everybody right when I came home. I know it was a lot of people that wanted to see me, but at the time, I didn't want to see everybody. I just wanted to sit down and just, I just wanted to, it's going to be a lot of people. Hey, let me, bring them over here, do this. And I can't speak for everybody how everybody wants to do, what I'm saying, their reentry. But me personally, that first night, I didn't see anybody. I just saw my immediate family that, and then we went home and I just sat, and just got to sit and just relax. I think I drank a beer, what I'm saying, just because. I don't even like beer for real. But I did, what I'm saying, just because. And just sat in my thoughts and just sat in my freedom. I mean, you couldn't sleep the first night. You're not going to be able to sleep. They're not going to be able to sleep the first night. Like, they're going to keep waking up because you wake up because you think you're going to wake up still in prison. Like, it's the first time waking up somewhere else. So it's that feeling like, are you going to wake up and still see the same lights, the same, building? You have to, you get a nervous feeling when you're laying down because you think you're going to wake up and not be where you thought you were,
Yeah.
Yeah. Keeping rooms dark because we finally have control of the lights. You know what I'm saying? So if you see somebody sitting in a dark room, it's not because it's crazy. It's just because he can control the light. We haven't been able to do that for a while, So that's a thing. And then again, everybody's different.
Right. Okay. And and a lot of the questions that I had, you have already answered.
That's good. That's good.
I do have one question from the inbox, and that's how do we keep our men in good spirits during the holiday?
Oh, well, that's always a tough time because it's two sides to it. Because I honestly know guys who don't call home on Christmas or on New Year's or on Thanksgiving. They try to wait a couple of days and then check on how it went. Then I know guys who want to have to be able to call on Christmas, especially the guys with kids. They want to be able to call and talk to the kids on Christmas. My best advice is to, keep a loose schedule around that. Because, the phones are going to be crowded those days. Everybody wants to get a call in. Everybody wants to say something to their family. So kind of keep a loose schedule around it. Kind of have a window of time that you're expecting the call. So that way you can assure that the call happens. Fiance has been incarcerated 27 years and has parole to the halfway house. He has high anxiety about. I got to read about. Let me see.
See if I can pull that up because I can't see it
either. He has anxiety about going to the halfway house. I got advice about the halfway house, but I'm gonna finish saying what I was gonna say about the holidays. Like I said, keep a loose window of time to give your loved one a chance to contact if that was the plan. Like I said, everything has to be planned. And I said on the last live, keep a schedule that you're confident that you can uphold. Like, don't just assume like, okay, I'm gonna call you every Tuesday. Every Tuesday is saying that nothing ever will happen on a Tuesday. Saying I'm gonna talk to you. Yeah, you can call me every day at 7:00. That's saying that nothing is gonna ever happen every day at 7:00 because we don't know what happened, and you can't call us back. So if you tell us to call at this time and we can't get through to you, we don't have any idea of what happened or why is it that we couldn't get through to you. And the mind is the unoccupied mind is a dangerous thing. So my best advice is to keep a loose schedule and say, hey, I'm free this day between this time and this time, so that you have that window of time that you know, okay, I said I was going to be free between noon and 5 o'clock. If something does pop up, I mean, it's not a lot of 5-hour things pop up. You know, it's going to be a time where you can say, okay, he's calling, you know, between this window. You know, I can, you know, if I miss this first call, he might try to call again within the same, you know, things that you can easily uphold. Because you.
And I think that's helpful, especially for those that are in relationships, because it's not that, well, I can't speak for everybody's situation, but it's not that the person is just want to know your every move, but it's like you're saying, I guess we have to have different mindsets because they're on set schedule. So like, just like you said, I'm just confirming what you said. If I'm telling you, would call me at this time, then, and I'm not there, then that creates a problem. So I know a lot of, you know, I've seen where some of the wives are kind of feeling like the person is just hounding or gets upset when they're not there. And I think that's why what you just said.
Because you gotta understand, while we're in there, everything that we have going on in the day is a definite. They're definitely gonna call child. They're definitely gonna do rec, for the most part. If you have a job, you're definitely gonna do that at the same time every day. So if you're adding in a phone call on your everyday schedule, everything else on the schedule is gonna happen because you can't go nowhere. So everything else is gonna happen. You're gonna go to child at this time. You're going to get rec call at this time, and then you got that call on that same wavelength, like it's going to happen when you can't account for the person on the other end of the line. And you can account for it where the child hall is. You can account for the rec yard. You can account for it. Even if they say you can't go to rec, you know there was an officer right there that just told you that, and why they not. You know what I'm saying? So you got that explanation. You know what's going on. But like I said earlier, you guys can't call us back. So when we call, there's no explanation. It's just misunderstanding. There's no, you know, and this was the scheduled time. This was part of their day. You know, this was something that they were, okay, I know at 8 o'clock I'm going to call. You know, this is like, you know, they're telling everybody saying, hey, you want to play cards, lady? Like, nah, 8 o'clock I got to call my lady. You know what I'm saying? They done already moved stuff around, whatever they got to do to make this call. So in the best of your ability out there, to the people that are out here, try to give it in times where you know that you can manage, you know, to the best of your ability. Now, to speak the halfway houses, I've heard there are a lot of dangerous halfway houses. There have been people that have lost their lives in halfway houses. There have been officers that work in halfway houses that force sex on men or threaten to send them back to prison. I've heard so many stories. Well, they've been probing halfway houses because there's been a lot of corruption going on in halfway houses. A lot of drugs get sold in halfway houses, around halfway houses. A lot of violent things happen. Rape and molestation happens in halfway houses. So many things happen. That being a place that as a family member you can freely go to because it's like right down the street or it's right over here, you know, I encourage families to get as much involved in that process as possible. Be there when they have, you know, saying events there. Be there when there's, you know, just go talk to the staff because you can do that. They can't tell you can't do that. Go there and find out who runs it. Go there and find out what they have going on. Go there and find out the schedule. Be involved so you know what's going on with your family member, what's going on with your loved one, because even your loved one doesn't want what could happen to them to happen to them. You know, put eyes on the place, put eyes on the staff, know who's who, so that if anything were to occur, you're prepared with the information. Because since I've been home, I've heard a lot of terrible stories.
Wow. Well, thanks for that information.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And so I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but you don't necessarily have to accept that halfway house.
No, that's not everybody's situation. A halfway house is not going to be guaranteed to be, everybody's not going to have to go to a halfway house. That's typically for people who don't have like a set home, or it's like a home plan isn't going to be set yet. There's different reasons why they use halfway houses, but it's not for everybody. It's not everybody will have, not everybody will have to go to one. You know, I've seen that. Sometimes people that are going to another state, sometimes people who family member still has to be approved, or some certain things that are going on. You know, it's not everybody's not to have to go. So if that situation does arrive, though, be as involved and be as hands-on with that process as possible.
Okay. Wow. All right. Lastly, and probably most importantly, what were your obstacles while looking for a job?
Oh, okay. We get they take a lot of trades. They offer a lot of trade courses and hands-on and like construction and plumbing and things like that. But these aren't entry-level jobs for felons. Like if you work, it's hard to find a job anywhere construction where you work in residences and be able to have a felony. You know, it's hard to have a felony and work in a residential type job where like you fix ACs or something like that, or it's hard to work residential jobs for the company that does residential work with a felony, because you have to be able to have a felon in people's homes, and there's a lot of companies that won't get insured for that. When a job doesn't hire a felon, is because the company that insures the job won't insure felons, and that happens a lot. What they do allow you to do is your loved one can get what's called bonded, and bonded is insurance up to $5,000, saying that if anything happens while you're working on this job, you are bonded for $5,000 of coverage to cover any type of damages or anything missing or stolen, up to $5,000 by hiring you. There's also tax credits for hiring felons, but from what I understand, the credit isn't even enough to. They do things to counteract their benefits. So they'll say there's credits for hiring felons, but some insurance companies charge a fee if you have felons. So that kind of like puts the employer in a tough position.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's always a lot of information again.
Yeah.
Brain overload.
Mm-hmm. But
all right.
One of the things, the best advice, my best advice for getting a job is finding people that run companies and run. It could be pressure washing. It could be, like I said, it could be. Find the person that owns that company. If you see a van drive by that says Rick's Automotive, find out who Rick is. Talk to Rick. You know what I'm saying? If you know, your churches, if you go to church, there's somebody at that church that runs something, you know, and talk to people face to face. It's easier than applications. The face to face, if you can talk to somebody face to face, it's way easier. It's definitely way for the loved ones. If utilize your resources, utilize your coworkers. You know, you never know, and sometimes you don't want to let people in on your business. That makes sense. But if you know somebody that can help, somebody that runs something, if you know somebody that owns a business that could use a little bit of help, they probably would take your word for vouching for somebody. So that's my advice. Talk to people. People are people over papers.
All right. Okay. Are there any more questions? Anybody have any questions? Thanks for joining, Tracy, Michelle, Zoe. And if not, we will call it a wrap. Thank you so much. Tell everybody, please, where they can find you on social media.
Okay. On Facebook, I can be found at Paine Peace, Paine, and then the word peace. On Instagram, I'm under Paine the Poet, Paine Thepoet. You can also support me on Patreon / Paying the Poet, patreon.com, PATREON / Paying the Poet. I appreciate you guys. Everybody continue to strive, continue to work together, continue to support each other in this. This is the thing. Miss Williams, the group you got going is dope. I encourage it. Keep encouraging people. Keep, supporting people. And I wish the best for all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Alrighty. And, of course, I can be check out my website for thelivesoffprisonwives.com. Also, we have launched a subscription box for wives, fiancés, girlfriends, loyal ladies subscription box, as well as Forever Bonded for kids. We are in the works on that. So I will drop a link in the comments to that, the website and the subscription boxes. All right. So thank you for joining. And
all right.
again. All right. Thank you.